Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the day 5 of your 15 days revision crash course for performance management. And today we are going to cover CVP analysis, cost volume profit analysis, or in another word, break even analysis, one of the highest scoring and the easiest topic in performance management. Now, the last uh, day, that is for day 4, we discussed all technical areas covering all the costing techniques: ABC costing, environmental costing, throughput, environmental cost accounting, target costing. So here we are going to work on the break even analysis, then the chart, and then the contribution chart. So contribution is equal to sales price minus variable cost. Variable cost is something that changes with the level of output. It varies, whereas fixed cost remains fixed no matter whatever the level of output. Okay, one example is your rent that you have to pay. That remains fixed no matter whether a lot of people are in that room or less people, right? But variable changes with the level of output. And you need to remember this formula for your performance management exam. Then break even point. Break even means you are neither making a profit, you're neither making a loss. Okay, so your revenue minus expenses is zero. Okay, revenue is equals to your cost, total cost. So break even point, if you want to find out, the formula is fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. And if you want to find the break even in terms of sales revenue, fixed cost but the denominator changes, contribution to sales ratio. So whenever you have the word break even sales revenue, the word revenue or sales, your denominator also will have the word sales. So like this, it's easy for you to memorize the formula. Sales, break even point and unit, contribution per unit. Break even sales revenue, contribution to sales ratio. Okay, so just change like this and learn it like this. It becomes very easy because fixed cost will remain fixed. Okay, numerator remains fixed. Then we have output that is required to achieve the target profit. We are working backwards. Formula is fixed plus target profit divided by unit contribution. They will give you the target profit, they will give you the fixed cost, they will give you the unit contribution. Based on this, you have to find out. Next, we have sales revenue required for that target profit. Earlier, it was output required, that is in terms of unit that you have to sell to achieve that profit. Now, it is the sales revenue. So, numerator remains same, fixed cost plus target profit. Only the denominator changes. Because it has the word sales revenue, denominator also will have sales. So, contribution to sales ratio. Then we have what is known as margin of safety. Margin of safety means difference between your budgeted and your break-even level of output. So budgeted minus break-even level of activity. And if you want to find it in terms of percentage, margin of safety percentage, budgeted level minus break-even level divide by budgeted into 100%. Okay. So in your exam, be very careful. Exactly see what they're asking for. Are they asking in terms of units output or in terms of percentage of revenue? Now, coming to the chart. Okay, so as I told, break even point means where your total cost is equals to total sales revenue. You're neither making a profit nor you're making a loss. Okay, that means it's zero. So this is how the chart will look like. On your vertical axis, that is your y-axis, it is in terms of pounds, okay, amount. Then on your horizontal x-axis we have outputs. Okay, the line above that, as you can see, it's straight, it's not varying, so it is fixed cost. No matter whatever the output, cost remains at that level. Then you can see our next line that is popping out from that fixed cost. It is known as total cost. Okay. Why does it starts from that? Why not it starts from zero? Because when your output is at zero, you will have some fixed cost, right? Let's say still you have to pay a rent first month, no output. So that fixed cost becomes your total cost. Total cost formula is variable cost plus fixed cost. But if but when you are having no output, there is no variable cost, only fixed cost. So that's why fixed cost is only your total cost. So from the fixed cost line extends the total cost line. That's why it starts from there. Then we have, which is starting from zero. This line is the sales revenue because it starts from zero. No, output starts increasing from zero. So you can see there are two areas. Okay, there is one point where it is intersecting. The sales revenue intersects with the total cost. Okay, so if you see the area below that on the left hand side, it is known as loss. I have marked it in red. That area, that triangle inside that line. Because if you see the two lines, total cost and sales revenue, just focus on the two lines. I'm not talking about the fixed costs. Only sales revenue and total cost. You will see total cost will be more than the sales revenue in that region. That's why it's loss. On the other side, right hand side, when total sales revenue starts increasing more than total cost, it gives you a profit. That region in green. And the intersection of the 2 points is known as break even point. No profit, no loss. Okay. Coming to the next one. Contribution break even chart. Same graph I've taken. The old thing is if you see something is missing, one line is missing here. What is it? It's the fixed cost line. Everything remains the same from that chart except fixed cost line is missing. Okay. So rather than putting fixed, now I'm focusing on variable cost. You see this line? Variable cost starts from zero from your output. That's why it's starting from zero output. So this is variable cost. Then if you see the difference between total cost and variable cost, this difference is fixed cost. This gap. And the gap between sales revenue and variable cost, this gap is known as contribution. Hence, the formula sales revenue minus variable cost is contribution. Okay. So now the advantage of having this type of chart that is known as contribution break-even chart is it's easy to read. Contribution you can directly see from the chart. Okay. Now, you can use this break-even chart for multi-product also. This is just for one product. What if you have multi-product? You still can use with some changes. That change occurs in your denominator. Fixed cost, no change. Fixed cost only. Sorry, the numerator. Denominator changes. Your contribution per unit becomes weighted average contribution margin. That is the only change. And this is for multi-product. So here we calculate this weighted average contribution margin. How do you find that ratio? CS ratio. It is this. CS means contribution to sales ratio. So total contribution divided by total revenue. CS ratio. So C first, then S, then the sales or the revenue. Now, and see the word it says total. Okay. You take all the products and all. Now, so there are some steps that you need to work on when you're working with a multi-product. 5 steps, which we'll go through in the next slide. Now, this weighted average, before that, weighted average contribution sales ratio is also useful. What are the uses of it? The use of it is you can tell what percentage each dollar of sales revenue contributes towards fixed costs by looking at that ratio. Next, quickly you can calculate break-even point in sales revenue. It's very quickly it can be done. This is the formula. Break-even revenue is equals to fixed costs. It remains same as individual product also, except denominator from contribution to sales ratio, it becomes weighted average CS ratio. That is the only difference. Then these are the 5 steps. Step 1. First you calculate CS ratio of each product being sold. Individually you will calculate. Then rank the products in order of profitability. Step 2. Draw the graph. Okay, in the next slide we have the graph showing cumulative sales on the x-axis. Step 3. Profit earned by product X. You have to draw the line. Step 4. Again draw a line. This time profit earned by product Y. But it has a lower contribution compared to X. And step 5. Join the last and the first point. And when you join, it reflects the average profitability of the 3 products. There are 3 products on that graph. And each point on the line means profit from that output. Assuming that these products are sold in the standard product mix, we are assuming they are having the same sales price, by the way, okay? Because if they're having different sales price, you can all use the chart. So now, this is how the graph will look like. You can see on your y-axis profit, on x-axis sales revenue. And just check the break-even point. And you're having 3 separate products, X, Y, Z. So you have to join the lines to see that break-even point. And each point means profit earned. So in your exam, you will not be asked to draw the diagram or anything, but if diagram is given, you should be able to interpret. You will not be told to draw the diagram, so don't worry. Now, questions from your section B. Cardio, hair events, and section C, chocolate are forever, mango leather, break even, EC limited, health nuts. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also do lots of revision kit questions from this area, that is break-even analysis, and see how questions on this area will be tested, both in section B and C. But don't forget section A, even though I'm not covering saying you which one is relevant for section A, because section A includes the entire syllabus. Okay, it is not very specific for that only. When questions on section A is tested, entire syllabus is tested. That's why we have not put that section A. We are only focusing on section B and C. Okay, section A is your job to do it. Thank you and take care.